Now we're looking at the bottom side of the gym. So this is the bamboo plate, and the first thing we see is this basket, or what you should call it. It's actually here the bottle caps are collected, and I have a sort of magnetic cluster here because I need to empty this from time to time and spread the bottle caps out again in the garden, hide them at tricky places for the birds to find. And then we see a box with some electronics, I'll show you later, and this is the metal detector for the bottle caps, and this is the newly made apple detector, not fully tested yet. And now you have to think smart, because see, everything is upside down. So that's why this little thing, I had to introduce this thing to the metal detector. So the metal detector is just, I think, 30 or 40 turns. I'm not sure you can see the wire, but there will be other images on my site or on the YouTube channel. But I have some fine wire here, 40 windings or something like that. And then on this little PCB there is a capacitor and a resistor and a diode. And with a well-known trick, I can send pulses from a small Arduino and actually measure the, what do you call it, the impedance, the electric characteristics of this coil. And that will, of course, increase or decrease depending on what you measure, but when you introduce a metal part. And now you can hear the dispenser back there. Now, I had to introduce this little balance scale, or what you would call it, to slow down the process, because the Arduino is quick, but not quick enough to capture the change in inductance from this coil. And the signal is sent into this box, and I realized that this might ruin my professional career as a research engineer or AI and robotics guy, because we don't build stuff this quick and dirty professionally. So, but that's the way it looks. And when you're on your spare time in hobby projects, I don't know about you, but I'm really eager to get forward, and I think, well, this will be good enough now, and then I end up with too many loose wires and not reliable contacts. So this is yet another part I would like to rebuild. And maybe if you build something similar, maybe I could coach you and guide you with some tips that you could actually build some of the bits and pieces more sort of definitely from the beginning, and then you could start to experiment a little bit further away. That would be great. However, this is a Raspberry Pi, and this is an add-on board that I've used just as an intermediate connector. I actually added yet another DC-DC converter here, and that has to do with the servo motor on the other side. Those of you experienced with Arduinos and servos, you know that running a servo is in theory very simple, but there's so many threads in forums everywhere about problems with servos. They are jittering, or they are fooling with the code, and more or less always that's related to too less power. You try to feed the servo from the 5 volts from the Arduino, but that's not sufficient. So that's not in use right now, but that's what it is. And then you can see this cable. Initially I communicated from this gym computer, this gym box, with the dispenser on an I2C based solution. I had a lot of problems with that, and I don't really know. There was some grounding problems somewhere that I didn't have time or patience to find that out. So I switched my approach, and now it's a more simple I/O transmission. So I'm just sending high and lows through the cable. So if you would like to go that route, I would recommend you to try to find a good outdoor connector with a lot of poles, like 10 or 12 or 14 or 15 pole connector device. So you could, and of course a multi-wire cable, so you can. You have to keep things simple, particularly since I'm planning to go even further with introducing machine learning and AI to be able to detect and classify other objects. I mean, the bottle caps is quite simple with a dedicated metal detector. Apples so far is just an optogate, and the thing has to be big enough to. But if we want to look for cigarette butts or slugs that is eating your vegetables up in the garden or other stuff, then we need to go further. Then we need to add some AI stuff and maybe a dedicated Raspberry with a neural processor or something like that. And then all the other stuff just has to work. So I just lost my patience with I2C. So that's the way it's really simple. The most advanced part here right now is the little metal detector that needs some fine tuning, and I might have seen some problems when things are getting wet, but it's still working. So that's about this side of the gym, a crucial part.